Thank you so much, Bessie. First of all, before we see the slides on the screen, I just want to say that I'm very happy to be here and very happy to share these days with you all. And before I go into nature-based solutions, I would like to ask in the room, how many of you have heard about nature-based solutions? Wow. Okay, that's great. I'm impressed. Yeah, so I'm from ICLEI, so we are a city network. You probably heard about C40 because they have Bloomberg behind, so they have a better, they're greater in the media. But we are, since 1992, trying to help cities to become more sustainable. And we have one team in our ICLEI Europe that is working with nature-based solutions and biodiversity. And I'm going to bring to you today why I think this is the past, the present, and the future. And coming back to Martin's picture, that maybe we can help to get this image become true. So here are the three biggest, let's say, definitions of nature-based solutions. IUCN, the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, came up with one in 2016. The European Commission, actually, they fight who did it before, but yeah, 2015. But I'm very happy that UNEA, actually, in 2022, in the mid of Corona, came out with a multilaterally agreed definition. So I'm not going to read here everything, but I just want to say that it actually covers many different ecosystems. I might be focusing today here in cities because this is a city panel, but nature-based solutions also span through marine ecosystems, also dunes and forests and peatlands, and so it's not only about cities. And the heart of NBS is biodiversity. So if you're not sure if something is a nature-based solutions, you ask yourself, is it enhancing biodiversity? If it is, then you are in the right track. It is NBS. Here, I like to show pictures so that people can imagine things and actually connect. So from designed ecosystems to actually natural ones, this is all NBS. So you can think about agroecological systems, so agriculture that has been really working with nature, with biodiversity-friendly practices, that is NBS. But you can have dunes that are not man-made. They are also NBS. You can have parking lots in cities, green roofs, green walls. These are also NBS. They are designed. So there are different types. And the intervention of man actually varies around these types. Why are they relevant? We hear a lot about carbon. So how can we lower the emissions? Martin is smiling. But we know now that we cannot get to net zero without nature. So nature is actually underpins everything, our whole economy. Sometimes we read, 50%, 60% of the GDP is dependent on nature. No, guys, it's 100. Everything, everything depends on nature. We wouldn't be sitting here in this room. Nothing would exist without nature. So it's actually quite important that this topic gains all the schools and all the education systems. And maybe let's dive a bit more on what ICLEI has been working in, and actually not us, but many cities and academics and also NGOs around Europe and the world. So the European Commission has been investing, this number is actually not even actual, now it's more than 850 million euros in research and innovation in NBS. So we have more than 80 countries, and now we have, I think, 95 projects at the moment. And these projects, they span around a lot of the topics that we're hearing here today. So we have NBS working with artificial intelligence, nature-based solutions with the insurance sector. I was even talking to Danilo in the break. We have nature-based solutions projects focusing on social justice, so how to make sure that we can have collaborative governance schemes. We have nature-based solutions working with wastewater treatment, how to do it not with the hard engineering way, but how to do it with nature-based solutions. And this community is coming together, and we're working in different task forces. So we have task forces focusing on education. And not, when I say education, I don't mean only primary schools and secondary schools, but also education of adults. So different kinds of education schemes and bringing materials that we would love to share with the different networks here that are working in schools, but also monitoring. So data. So how can we make sure that nature-based solutions are actually delivering what the hard engineering is actually already showing, right? They're very good at numbers and at capturing impact. And we, with nature-based solutions, we're still struggling a bit to come up with very sturdy metrics to show the real impact that nature-based solutions can have. And if we become better at these metrics, I'm sure that governments and decision makers would jump more strongly into it. We have a lot of nature-based solutions hubs. So they are actually around Europe. We have one in Italy, is actually one of our most active nature-based solutions hub. They're doing a summer school this July, and they're actually going to engage a lot of citizens and try to come up with solutions to real problems in Italian cities. So here you can see the different hubs. So in the Caucasus, in Portugal, in Spain, we have also a hub in Southeastern Europe, a Polish hub. So they're actually popping up in different countries. And why is that important? Because not everybody speaks English. All of you here, you all have the privilege to speak English, but in a lot of these countries, you cannot get to inclusion into the community if you don't speak in the local languages and produce materials in local languages with local people in the ground. So we're trying to take this topic out of academia and bring it really down to communities. Network Nature is actually putting up a lot of resources, so guidances, policy briefs, a lot of different kinds of tools to measure. So our platform has been putting together the outputs of more than 90 projects that are coming out from these European projects. So we also do something that we call study cases. So the platform has more than, I think now 600 cases all around the world where people can navigate and see, okay, do I have something in my country? Do I have something in my city? So they can see how this was delivered, and there is the whole description around it. We have an events calendar because a lot of events on NBS are popping up, and we try to screen this so that people can find the information easily. And I want to come a little bit into policy. I think we didn't hear a lot about policy today, but we had a very young politician talking here. I think policy, I actually didn't know how important it is. And I guess if you have policy focusing on nature-based solutions, that means you have financing schemes and funding lines for implementation. Because a lot of times you go to cities and their procurement schemes, I don't know if you know the word procurement, the way cities, they hire services and they actually implement their streets and their houses and the parks, they rely a lot on gray infrastructure still. And we have to actually reinvent the way cities are buying these services. So procurement is a huge word here. And for that, you need policy. So you need actually both. You need people coming from the bottom and actually inspiring their politicians and saying, I want a greener street. You maybe saw in the news, Paris last Sunday just put out the result of a plebiscito saying that people want to have these green streets in Paris. So now they're going to implement them. And it's not 1, 2, or 3. There are many. I don't remember the name now, but I think it's the number. I think it's more than 500 cities in Paris will become really green, coming closer to Martin's picture. And for that, you need the people doing the pressure, but you also need policy. Because otherwise, a lot of different communities, they don't have access to the funding to do the implementation. And here we are focusing around these 6 different policy themes. So biodiversity is the heart of nature-based solutions and ecosystem restoration. You know, we have actually jeopardize many of our ecosystems. So not only the birds, but peatlands are not there anymore. Peatlands are incredible places where they can store carbon for us. They're doing the services for free, and we're destroying peatlands. So ecosystem restoration is the big thing. I was a big proponent in LinkedIn for the nature restoration regulation, and in Europe it has been approved in August last year, and now all member states are bound to deliver ecosystem restoration plans. And then climate resilience, sustainable food systems, the whole diets that we have today, the levels of cancer we have today. And we know that we have to eat better. And to eat better, we have to plant differently. And to plant differently, we cannot do the industrial agriculture that we have been doing and putting all the incentives that are so perverse in this kind of agriculture. We have to switch the whole way we do it, and we have to do it biodiversity friendly, without the pesticides. So all of this has to do with NBS, and it has to do with cities, because people are in cities and we are consuming this food. Zero pollution, so how to do the connections to zero pollution and NBS, and financing. I talked to Jeffrey. I could get him for 2 minutes before he left the room, and I was telling him, did you ever hear about the nature positive economy? Because our economy, how it is today, it is a disaster. Our economy focuses on depleting all the ecosystems we rely on. And we can reinvent, we are creative. We can do an economy that actually recuperates, restores our value chains. We can think about the value chains in ways that they are restoring nature and not depleting nature. And we have the knowledge. We just need to really have more policies and more governance going into this more aggressively. And the schools are already doing it. Yeah, so with that, I just want to say thank you, and passion and purpose. That's what we need.